Now I come to Sutta number 4.8.79. Now the Venerable Sariputta came to visit the Exalted One. As he sat at one side, the Venerable Sariputta said this to the Exalted One. Pray, Lord, what is the reason, what is the cause, why such and such a trade practiced by some person turns out a failure? Again, Lord, what is the reason, what is the cause, why such and such a trade practiced by some person does not turn out as he intended? Pray, Lord, what is the reason, why such and such a trade turns out as he intended? Again, Lord, what is the reason, what is the cause, why such and such a trade practiced by some person prospers beyond his intention? And then the Buddha said, in this matter, Sariputta, suppose someone comes to a recluse or Brahmin and makes him an offer, saying, Sir, say what you want by way of support. But he does not give him what he offered. If this man diseases from that life and returns to this sort of life, whatever trade he may practice, it turns out a failure. Again, in this matter, Sariputta, suppose someone comes to a recluse or Brahmin and makes him an offer, saying, Sir, say what you want by way of support. But he does not give him what he intended to give. Then, if this man deceases from that life and returns to this sort of life, whatever trade he may practice, it does not turn out as he intended. Then again, Sariputta, suppose someone comes to a recluse or Brahmin and makes him a similar offer and gives him what he intended to give. Then, if this man deceases and comes back to the human world, whatever trade he may practice turns out as he intended. Once more, Sariputta, suppose someone comes to a recluse or Brahmin and makes him a similar offer and gives him more than he intended to give. Then if this man diseases from that life and returns to this sort of life, whatever trade he may practice, it prospers beyond his intention. This, Sariputta, is the reason, this is the cause, why such and such a trade practiced by some person turns out a failure, or does not turn out as he intended, or does turn out as he intended, or prospers beyond his intention. That's the end of the sutta. Here the Buddha is talking about this person who does trade, that means he opens some business. And when he does some business, he has some expectation of certain profit that he hopes to make, or he thinks that he should make a certain profit. But the result can come out four ways. One is it turns out a miserable failure, maybe becomes bankrupt. Second one, maybe he expects to make, say, for example, $100 a month, but he does not make as much as he intended. Maybe he gets only $50 a month. He expected to get $100, but he got only $50. That's the second case. The third case is he expects to make $100 a month, and he actually makes $100 a month. That's the third case. The fourth case is, even though he expects to make $100 a month, he might make $200 a month. So this is quite a valid thing in life. You see, sometimes two shops on the same road, on the same street, selling the same goods. One shop might do very well, another shop might not do well. Or sometimes somebody opens a shop and then he goes bankrupt. And then he sells off the shop. Another person comes back and a second person comes, takes over the same shop and maybe does the same business. And then he prospers. See, each person's karma is different. So the reason the Buddha said is because of somebody promising to give something, and whether he gives or not, there are four possibilities. The first one, he says he intends to give something to a virtuous, this recluse or Brahmin, that means a renunciant, a monk. He says he promises to give something, and then in the end he does not give anything at all. So the result of that is when karma ripens, in the same way he does a business, he intends to make something, he doesn't make anything, instead he goes bankrupt. So the second case is a person promises to give something to a virtuous monk, and then he gives less than what he promised to give. So the result is that when he does a business, he also gets less than what he intended to get. The third one, he promised something and he gave exactly what he promised. So when he does the business, the returns is also exactly what he expected. The fourth one, he said he wanted to give something, but he gave much more to the virtuous monk. He gave much more than he intended to give. So in the same way, when he does in a later life, when he does a business, then he gets much more profit than he thought he was going to get. So this sutta shows that we should not be careless with our words and our promises. Perhaps if you make a promise to a person who is not virtuous, who is not maybe has a lot of bad karma, then the result won't be so bad for you. But if you, in dealings with a virtuous person, you have to be very careful, because if you do wrong to a virtuous person, then the fault, your karma is much worse than if to an ordinary person.